Welcome back, Washable Walk-Ons fans, episode 254 of the podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, if you thought I was insufferable before, well, the Hawks are number 3 in the country. They're undefeated. They just won by 40 points. And I have a podcast with two of my best buddies where we talk about this football team and also talk a lot of shit. So, I've already done a decent amount of analysis on this game. Hopefully, Kevin gives us and you guys everything you're looking for from the analytical standpoint. And I just get to kick back, relax, and just bask in the glory of being a top 3 team in the country. Kluver, take this over, bud.
Look at Kevin joining us.
And Kevin, I would like to congratulate Kevin Tiger Woods Ward on breaking 40 for the first time ever. Well done, pal.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's a big day for me.
Today is the day. That's what happened on Kevin's Sunday.
Yeah. I went to Brown Deer Golf Course, shot a 39 today. I'm pretty happy about it.
You look happy. You look like Tiger Woods. You're usually in the button up, no hat, hair's all nice. And we got backwards hat Kevin today.
Yeah, I'm feeling like a backwards hat kind of guy today.
Like a Baker Mayfield type.
Something like
this is a backwards hat type of podcast today, boys and girls.
That is true.
Welcome into the podcast, everybody. This is sort of a wild week, a wild Monday for several reasons that we'll get into. One of them is the fact that your Iowa Hawkeyes are currently ranked third in the country. You can't go much higher than 3. All right. And also really with the landscape of the current college football world, where Georgia and Alabama are basically like NFL feeder teams. They're basically the NFL farm system. I consider this ranking number 1. I'll just take it as number 1. It doesn't count like that, but this is something that we did not even experience really. I mean, I think we did touch 3.
We peaked at 3 in 2015.
And it was for 1 week.
But just think about that, what you just said. The only teams currently, quote unquote, better than the Iowa Hawkeyes are the Alabama Crimson Tide, which have been unstoppable since 2009. Correct. And the Georgia Bulldogs, who look like one of the best teams in college football in the past 5 years.
I think they should be ranked ahead of Alabama.
I can't wait for when they eventually do play each other.
Yes.
But I think they are the more talented team. That defense is unreal.
It's unbelievable.
Unreal.
They're I saw a little video of Kirk Herbstreit sitting down with their linebacking core this week, and those guys that's Iowa's defense with 5-star talent at all 11 positions. Basically.
Speaking of Kirk Herbstreit, would like to have him sitting down with some of our guys from our defense this week, but apparently they don't want to come visit Iowa City.
That's a topic that's on the agenda. Put it down. Those listening at this point have probably seen on the social media game day, college game day, which we did already have this year. Let's not get greedy.
Let me just ask you all this: what do we want Cuck Herbstreit around Kinnick for, anyways?
I like Herb.
I like Herbstreit.
I think he's a pretty straight shooter.
Now David Pollock can get bent.
I think they all can get bent, dude. Once they go over to like talking head on TV, aka
be careful what you're about to say here.
Yeah, whoa, brother.
No, listen,
whoa, brother.
I'm a very understanding of what we do, but they sell out for the TV, and I hate that.
I mean, Kev, are we willing to sell out? Because I am. I'm willing to sell it to anyone.
This is my favorite quote of mine that I always like to say is everyone has a price for everything.
Oh, and we had many good conversations at Benton Street about that conversation.
Yeah, we could go down a rabbit hole with that one.
Dirty little rabbit hole for sure. So those listening right now, how do you feel? We're number 3. I'll tell you this. You're obviously getting the former player perspective here. Someone who, when we were ranked that high during the 2015 season, it just, rankings don't do it for me. Personally, it's this subjective, and you can find 100 different people's rankings, right? Yeah. So the AP is obviously the most respected. The coaches poll probably second. The one that matters is the football playoff one that comes out, I don't know,
at the end of week 7, week 8,
7 or week 8. That number 3 by our name, fans, and I know it's awesome. I know it's really freaking cool, dude, because it's associated with Alabama and all the teams that are always up there and those who actually make the college football playoff, those who are relevant. It's fun to be relevant. And the Hawks are more than relevant. But the number 3 doesn't mean anything. It's subjective. It does nothing for us. It doesn't get us an extra point when we start the game on Saturday. You know, like, oh, Hawks get 1 point because they're ranking ahead of Penn State. By the way, top 5. I mean, Kev, you're going to be there this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be there this weekend. The Ward tailgate.
I find a way to be there this weekend.
Well, we were talking about that before we got on. We're hoping that this weekend goes the right way / the rest of the season goes the right way. And the walk-ons find themselves all together once again at an Iowa football game in early December.
In the state of Indiana.
But rankings, paper, stats, all the numbers, they all go out the window.
Yeah, man. If anything, it means you're going to get your opponent's best shot.
Absolutely. And we will get.
We were expecting that from Maryland last night and
2 nights ago.
Well, 2 nights ago.
Yeah. Before we get into that Maryland recap, we're going to get into the X's and O's. Iowa looked the best they have.
Y'all really like these dudes on TV that never give Iowa any credit and just.
Herbstreit actually is
Herbstreit's a big Iowa guy.
Yeah, Herbstreit's a big Iowa, big Kirk Ferentz guy.
Okay, then I owe Kirk Herbstreit an apology. He didn't deserve that. But the rest of them can eat dicks because nobody ever gives Iowa any credit, never have.
Pollock's a big Iowa and kind of a Big Ten hater too.
Yeah, he played at Georgia. He's an SEC homer. And he literally admitted he's like, I'll never give Iowa credit. Like he's exactly what he said this weekend on the show. Desmond Howard usually picks against Iowa too, when it's a close matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan guy. I mean, fuck them all. Hey,
yeah.
You know,
I think Herbstreit was like the only one to pick Iowa in the Iowa State matchup.
Yep.
And Corso did too, but Corso's like the mascot of the show now.
That guy's liable to pick the UNI Panthers when Iowa State and Iowa play each other.
Oh man, I understand why they keep him on the show because like he was kind of what started it all and the headgear and got the fans going. But our man Lee's seen better days.
Who's more viable right now, Lee Corso or the President of the United States?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We're not. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I just asked who was more viable.
Yep, I don't know. I couldn't answer the question. I would say you probably don't want either of them taking an ACT right now. Or I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of hype here. I'm going to get into a couple bookkeeping things. Last week on Thursday, we announced that we were going to be donating 100%. We usually are 50% of proceeds, but donating 100% of our proceeds of Patreon to the Hawkeyes and Holidays Sleepers for the NICU GoFundMe. And if I was a good podcast host, I would have that up. I'm going to pull that up and see how much money. Yeah, there we go. Gotta love the old technology for saving it. That GoFundMe is up to $4,300. It was about $1,700. What is going on right now? Oh, here we go. Sorry.
Everything good, tech guy?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna edit this part out, but there was some
Kluber's absolutely lunching it right now.
Yeah, I'll edit this part out, but there was some fucking music playing that I was really not happy about on one of the screens. Hold on a second. Although if you're watching the YouTube, you get all of this, so that's fun.
Oh, you don't edit out parts in the YouTube?
I mean, I could, but anyway. So
that Drake's dropped some serious bad stuff on YouTube.
There's been some stuff, yeah. If you end up watching the YouTube, this is maybe cause to go watch some of those back. Every once in a while, I'll edit some stuff out from the podcast that most of the time doesn't get edited out from the video. So that's always fun. But yeah, so the sleepers for the NICU fund is currently up at 4,300. When we announced that on last Thursday, it was at 1,700. And from your donations, all of the Patreon members, and you guys know who you are, there's over 50 of you, over 50 new Patreon members in the last 4 days. The Army now sits at 257 strong. You guys alone, we're nearing $1,500 that we're going to add on top of the 4,300 already raised. So, I mean, that's almost enough to get emotional. I'm not going to make this into a sappy cry podcast, but there's going to be a lot of little babies running around. Well, I don't know if they're running, but crawling around in Hawkeye sleepers, nice quality, pajama onesies. And that's something to be really, really proud of. Not only that, but hopefully you guys enjoy the freaking Patreon content that we're going to be hitting you with all season long and all off season long. We're going to continue to add to that thing more and more. Drake and I have been having a hell of a time just with the extra episode, but plenty of other stuff that we're doing over there as well. Because there are so many of you, I'm only going to read off 10 names, and I'll try and do this sparingly so that we can all kind of have our time and we can move through this podcast. But Nathan, Tyler, Mark, Ryan, Noah, Colin, Nate, and Craig, you are 10 of the 53 or so new Patreons. Thank you guys so much. And if you ever need anything, message me on there. It's the real intimate stuff that we get into. As always, of course, thank you guys for coming and listening to the show. We have not only a bunch of new Patreon members, but we have a bunch of new just listeners in general as well that we've picked up over the first month of this season. The final number, we did not quite hit 100K. I let the boys know, but we did not quite hit 100,000 downloads. 99,683 downloads or something in the month of September. But we were averaging over the summer and sort of over the last year or so about 50 to 55,000 downloads a month. And we doubled that in the month of September as football came into the picture. And as we signed our deal with iHeart. So really a shout out to everybody. This is, again, this is just a bullshit podcast with three guys who wish they could still throw the pads on, like to talk Iowa football. And it just so happens that the Hawks are doing really, really well, which makes it really fun to talk about. Speaking of, let's get to the meat and potatoes, as some would say. Iowa versus Maryland, Friday night game, Friday night lights. Some say there's no better time. I remember my time on Friday night lights. Thought I was really good at linebacker. Turns out there was Josie Jules running around out there. 51-14, a result that, well, I guess a lot of people were picking against the Hawks in this one.
Maryland was a popular pick. They had an explosive offense. Defense was, solid coming in, and people weren't really impressed with. They saw the Hawks the previous 2 weeks, which is fair, I guess. But yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, football doesn't really make sense this year.
Right? A lot of
that's what makes it fun.
And there's actually a question. There's a guy who hit us with some good freaking questions that we're gonna go over. Kevin, I want your opinion. Did Iowa feel slighted this week? We didn't play. Did the guys in the locker room, did the coaches maybe take a little offense to overrated? Did they really give a shit about that? Did they maybe feel like that people were picking Maryland. That's disrespectful. I had several people ask me, did they feel a little bit disrespected in this game? And is that why they played like they did? I don't think it
if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and not listening to the noise, they shouldn't even know about that or care about that whatsoever.
True.
I never really had that feeling playing. I don't know about you guys, but no, I mean,
okay.
You don't play like you don't play for the people, the talking heads out there.
Right.
You play because you want to go win. All right. And you play your best every snap of every game. If you happen to run up the score against them, well, too bad. They should have played better. I don't know, but
play better football.
Yeah. Feeling slighted. I don't know. Some people are different, but no, I could never really relate to that.
Yeah. What did in your because Drake and I did talk about this, so I want to make sure that we get most of your thoughts, Kevin, on all the subjects. We talked about a lot of the hype yesterday in our extra episode that we did. Thoughts from the game, just in general, things that pop out to you, things that are the most relevant from our win on Friday night versus Maryland.
I like the way that the defense kind of rebounded after they had, they were giving up some chunk plays in the first quarter. Helps that Maryland lost their best player, but really rebounded and played lights out from the start of the second quarter onward. And then I thought the offense took obviously a huge step forward, especially in the run game. I thought Spencer had a great game. I think we're in a good spot here moving forward.
How are we feeling about the way Buddy's knee was bent?
Ooh, oh man, I was at I was out at a restaurant when watching the game, and the entire place it made that huge groan, like squeamish. That was dude. Tough to watch.
It went sideways.
I think he lost all the ligaments in his knee.
Had to tear the ACL, the PCL, the LCL. They're all gone.
Yeah. That's a year of rehab at least.
And then Kev, you see?
You might never be the same again.
Ever. And he was. I was worried, dude, because that guy tore us up. He still finished the game with the most receiving yards and the most catches, and he was out.
Yeah, he's a good player. Yeah,
Dante. We're talking about
include our defense or not? Because I'm pretty sure our defense had more receptions and yards gained.
As a total, our defense did end up being Talia's favorite target. But for those that can't remember or didn't see, Dante Demas Jr. is the guy who went out early, 4 catches for 61 yards on the first drive alone against the Hawks defense. Basically, the second drive. Basically found every hole that there was, and him and Talia tore us up, and I was a little bit worried. I thought we were going into a Cowboy shootout.
No, yeah, that's exactly like they were finding the holes in our zone. Our linebackers didn't do a great job sinking underneath routes that second drive. We were missing some tackles on the perimeter. They wanted to go attack the perimeter early and often, put their guys in space against our guys, and just make some one-on-one tackles that we didn't do very good at first. But after he went down, we really calmed down, settled down. Linebackers started playing great coverage.
Great.
You saw Jack Campbell sink underneath a route, tip it, that Jack ends up getting the pick on. Jack gets a minus on that play for fumbling the ball, but good job not dropping it.
And somehow we end up with that fumble.
I have no idea how Dane ended up with that on the bottom of the pile.
Dane's a total savage for that. And
because the Maryland guy definitely had it first. And I'm guessing while the referees are trying to sort it out, Dane somehow was able to get away with it.
I think what he did was he just slid his arms in there so that they were both equally attached to the ball. And I was sitting at the house watching the game, and I was like, I will tell you this right now. If the referees didn't blow the whistle until 8:00 tomorrow morning, our linebacker would be attached to this football until 8:00 tomorrow.
Yeah, dude, we're grabbing that ball. It was one of the many things that seemed to, and this has kind of been an interesting topic on Twitter, seemed to fall the right way for the Iowa defense. and I think you know what I'm referencing there. We're getting a little bit of hate, a little bit of doubt on the social media. Of course, people who don't know what they're talking about are gonna say that things are falling our way. Some would argue
sometimes it happens that way, but like Jack Campbell bending really nicely underneath that route, getting a hand on it. That's forcing a turnover. Just, it happened to fall in Jack's other Jack's hands, but that's a forced turnover. At the end of the half, when he chucks ones up for a prayer and you get a pick, one that doesn't even affect the game. Two, that's whatever.
At some point,
you get lucky, but there's been some forced picks too. Forced picks, forced fumbles.
Fortune favors the prepared.
Yeah, absolutely.
At some point, you're just a good defense that forces a lot of turnovers. That's just the way it is. And that's what we have with the Iowa Hawkeyes. It's an absolute.
Yeah. And they did a good job of stopping the run too. Maryland really didn't even try to establish it. They were just happy to go around and chuck it around.
Horrible. Less than 100 yards running on the day. Let me find this quick. 97 yards total. And their quarterback tied with two other guys for the most rushes on the team. There's basically 4 guys who all had 3 or 4 carries, who all had 20 yards running. Not very good.
Phil's defense is so elite. It is it's more fun to watch than watching the offense play, which is insane to say.
It's just basic, fundamental defense.
Mm-hmm.
They just teach the basics to such a, disciplined, down to the letter tactic that is, Phil would always tell me when we have meetings with them, it's like, I'd talk to Phil like, I really got to get my football IQ up so I can play faster. And he goes to me like, my dad always said, it ain't that complicated. You go tackle the guy with the ball.
Well, this brings up it's true. It's true. This brings up a really interesting conversation. So I listened to John Miller's podcast, Hawkeye podcast, right? And I really respect John and his content that he puts out. I think he's really good at what he does. Some disagree, and I actually got into conversations with that over the weekend as well. But John told a story on his podcast this past weekend about how he got to sit down with Norm at some iClub events, and he asked him about his defense one year. I mean, this is 15 years ago probably. And Norm was like, it's not that difficult, right? Like Norm just had
high schools run the same defense that we run.
Norm just had the idea that I think the way John put it, the way that Norm said it was 85 or 90% of quarterbacks and offenses cannot consistently at the rate that they need to beat that zone defense and find the holes in the zone. And to the point where when you worked it out statistically over a game, maybe they can do it once or twice, but 3 or 4 times to turn it out, not individual plays, but entire sustained 10, 12 play drives that are 80 yards, 70, 80 yards long. Teams cannot put together 3 or 4 or more of those drives.
If you have your guys on defense doing what they're supposed to be doing, it makes it very difficult to, 1, hit big plays, and 2, consistently find the holes in the defense, right? I mean, obviously you're going to have guys out of position every now and then, or every now and then a mental error happens, and that obviously results in a blown coverage that can result in a big play. But if you have 8 guys in the back, 8 to 7 guys in the back end playing the coverage that they were supposed to be playing, the way they're supposed to be played, it makes it really hard on the offense.
For a team that throws it around like Maryland does, and a few other teams that will play, or a team that has it in an active, dangerous passing attack. Kevin's going to run away from me now, so I can't ask him this question. What I was going to say, I'll save that for Kevin in a second. Drake, what it seems to happen is Phil Parker, old millionaire Parker, Phil Mill Parker, he dials up the blitzes when he needs to. We don't blitz often. but it's almost 100% that when he does dial it up, it just hits harder than.
Yeah, he timed a couple of them perfect the other day, and they just absolutely blew the play up.
It just.
I don't know. I was a complete dumb shit when I played defense, and I didn't really get taught that much because I wasn't playing. So I don't really know much about the Iowa defense except what it's like playing against it. And it's just extremely irritating to play against it because they're tough as hell and they're fundamentally sound. And I feel like the sum of all the part, or what's the saying? The defense
the sum is greater than the
sum of
individual
all
parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that is just the epitome of the Iowa defense from what I know about it. And
Yeah, I
that's,
mean,
like I said,
yeah.
hardly shit.
Yeah. Yeah. 11 guys out there playing tough. And playing disciplined football. I mean,
Kev, what I was gonna ask you was, when you have a defense, I feel like this Iowa defensive line does a really, really good job of gap
control.
Gap control.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they do an incredible job of contain. Van Valkenburg is a dog.
I saw a couple. I didn't see much of the Colorado State game. I saw a couple where they let the guy get out and scramble for a couple first downs. But overall, yeah, I'd agree that they're doing a good job, and they started getting more pressure too. One of the picks from Friday,
the first one,
the first one that was caused by the defensive line, causing pressure. Yeah.
When you have a defensive line that is really good at gap control, does that allow the second level, the linebackers, to be able to drop back under those routes more?
I think not so much. What it does allow is the linebackers, either you have a guy eating up a double team, causes the linebacker to be free and go make a tackle. It makes it a lot easier on the back end.
Okay. I mean, that's what I'm asking. Basically.
More so in a run support type fashion. If they're getting pressure on the quarterback, obviously that helps on the pass game. But no, I mean, linebackers are still reading their keys, and that's how quickly they can do that is more how quickly they can get back underneath the routes they have to, versus thinking, oh, my defensive line sucks, I got to go play the run really hard. Nah, you can't do that. If you don't trust your teammates to do their job and you start trying to do too much, that's when mistakes happen. That's when big plays happen.
Whatever it is, whatever they're doing, 6 turnovers. One of them was on special teams when Demas decided to snap his leg in half. That play was by Sebastian Castro, by the way, a backup DB, hunting on kickoff. And of course,
I don't know if I've seen a single play of the game change the course of the game as much as that.
Oh, it took the win.
I think Iowa still wins the game. I think we still win it.
It's closer though.
Oh, it's a hell of a lot closer. It's not a 40-point game.
Yeah, that guy was not only great at being a receiver, but he was a big, tall, physical dude.
Well, that, and we get the ball on the 10-yard line, score right after a nice 80-yard drive.
Yep.
I think we get a pick the next.
Yep. So
I think we get pick the next drive, turn it into a touchdown. It's like bam, 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 3 touchdowns in a row, and Maryland's starting to look around like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
And I was on a roll. Momentum's a real thing. Some people don't believe it. I 140% believe that momentum is a real thing in a football game.
Arland Bruce scored that touchdown after that happened, I believe. It was a second quarter from hell for Maryland, but maybe one from heaven for the Hawkeyes. The most points scored in a single quarter in over 2 decades, I think. It might even be further back than that.
Dude, with 8 minutes to go in the second quarter, another Heisman candidate quarterback had his hands on top of his head wondering what truck he just got hit by.
Yeah, it was when Dane Belton picked off the pass. He thought, what am I doing?
They had only played for 19 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a bad second.
Yeah, he made. Tua Jr. He's not even that good, man. He made
you guys
really bad throws.
You guys sitting there listening at home, we're just as confused as you guys are. You can hear it in our voices. We're like, we don't know what to say.
Football doesn't make sense, dude. Like, teams are getting blown out a week after having good games, and like at all levels, the game just not making sense this year.
Boys.
So our defense is elite. Our offense, like Kevin mentioned before, I don't think they took one step. I think they might have taken 6 steps. It was really, really good. They fed off of that defensive momentum. The play calling was really
easy to play offense when your defense is giving you the ball where our defense is giving us the ball.
It sure is.
It is so stupid easy to play offense with our defense.
Well, it allows you to come out and you're like, okay, well, we're on their 48-yard line with the first play of this drive. Let's take a couple shots.
Make a mistake. Like, there's no matter what happens, aside from you just going backwards, like aside from Brian just lunching it and telling Spencer to take a fucking knee, cha-ching.
Aside from Brady Ross trying to hand it back to the quarterback.
Like there are no real mistakes from there. Like, you can do anything. You can try and score on the first play, or you can try and run it down their throat. Anywhere in between is the right answer because you're already on the positive side of the field.
Yeah. I think like the biggest step I saw was obviously the offensive line, right?
Huge.
I thought
from play number 1, dude, the pocket was clean.
Yeah. Spencer had a clean pocket all game long.
And let me ask you this. How many guys rotated on that offensive line?
In this game specifically?
In this game specifically.
I honestly don't know, but I'm guessing less.
Look like much, did it?
No.
So Drake,
so maybe the coaches listen to the podcast.
I doubt it. I think it was probably just, good football minds think alike. I would say we're probably naive to think that the coaches don't also understand that they need to find.
They 100% understand that.
They know they need to find a starting 5. Kevin and you both talked about it last week. Is that's a squad, and you got to get that squad to feel like, okay, we're the starting 5 and that's our guys. And so those wondering who are those guys for us? Well, we've got Mason Richmond at left tackle. We've got
shoots at left guard.
Shooter shoots at left guard. We've got the best center in the nation in Linderbaum. We have Connor Colby, a true freshman from Cedar Rapids, playing right guard. True freshman. And Nick DeYoung, I was corrected in the DMs. He's from Pella. He's got a weird pronunciation. It's spelled DEJONG, but it's Nick DeYoung at right tackle. Those are your 5. Those are going to be the 5 that Iowa tries to go with. Those are going to be the 5 that we went with on. Those are the 5 that we went with on Friday.
True freshman. Did I hear this correctly?
Yeah, dude.
Am I deaf?
No.
I don't think that's happened since. Well, Tristan played as a true freshman.
Tristan was, and I think James Daniels
played too.
But I mean, here I'll pull
that's some good company to be in, boys.
We just named 2 absolute physical freaks.
Also, he has a mullet. So let me just. I mean, this deserves for the YouTubers the old share screen. This is who is our right guard right now.
Oh.
So.
This kid is an absolute thoroughbred.
Yeah, he's ready to. He's ready to eat at all times. Cedar Rapids Kennedy, 6'6", 298, listed number 77, Connor Colby. And he has
oh my God, they start listing their Twitter and Instagrams there now.
Sure do. Times have changed. If you want to follow Connor Colby on Twitter or Instagram, you can find that on the Hawkeye Sports website, his profile. Wow. And you might want to, because he's going to be your starting right guard or starting lineman somewhere on the line for the next 3 to 4 years for the Hawkeyes. And Coach Ferentz has talked about him as just being one of the guys that he's just stepped in and it hasn't really phased him. The moment, the Division I speed, the level of physicality that it takes to play as a Division I lineman, he's just a guy that him and Mason Richmond both have just really handled that well. Richmond is only
now that we're talking about personnel. We had talked about over on the old patreon.com/washupwalk-ons that we were going to discuss personnel group for personnel group. who was better between 2015 and this team
Yeah.
because
Oh,
I'm telling you, the offense is damn near a landslide.
By the way, Drake,
2015 offense is better.
2015 is damn near a landslide.
this
We got
is
a
what we
better
talked.
quarterback. We got a better offensive line. We got better receivers and better tight ends.
By the way, Drake, our left tackle is a redshirt freshman, so second year. Mason.
And if I'm being real, the combination of Cox and Pleva was a damn good combination of fullbacks. Like
I don't think it
understand
beats
Monty's
Pot
good,
though.
but I understand Monty's good and they use him in a lot of great ways. But those other two were really good football players too. So
Yeah.
like all I'm saying is that 2015 offense pretty much wins it by a landslide. And then you flip
I would
around
say
to
the defense, the 2021 defense has more talent than the 2015 defense.
Yeah. So our thing, Kev, was if you went 1-to-1, right? Who's the better player if you're just isolating this guy versus this guy on the 2021 fullback versus Cox and Pleva, or the 2021 long snapper versus me. 2015 wins that fucking battle, by the way.
And listen, dude, until proven otherwise, we played with the best middle linebacker that Iowa's had.
It's closer than Josie.
I mean, Chad Greenway played middle linebacker for the Iowa Hawkeyes,
so did James Morris. He was pretty fucking good too.
Technically, Josie's career was better. James Morris. There's
Chad Greenway was drafted in the first round. So
yeah,
you're right. But Josie's college career, just by the numbers.
So just to kind of roll through this whole scenario here. If you look at our line, who is our center? Was it Sean?
Austin Blythe. Bro.
Austin Blythe.
Oh, Blythe was
Not
still
too shabby.
Linderbaum probably takes that.
Sure.
Linderbaum takes it, but it's not. I mean, yeah,
Austin Blythe. It doesn't matter how much you take it by. It's 1v1. You win. Our guards were Sean and
the right guard was Jordan Walsh.
And then Ike and
Connor Buffelli.
Yeah,
no,
Buffelli graduated before we got there.
Okay, so there I know Walsh. Jordan Walsh and maybe Boone, Ike and Boone,
Croston played, but he was hurt. It was tackles were Boone, Ike, and Cole, and then guards were Sean
and
Jordan, and then we had Austin Blythe.
As a whole, 2015 offensive line wins. Honestly, they might 2021. I think only wins
Tyler Linderbaum
at the center position
now.
But as of right now, yeah, you got some young guys on this 2021 team. That was
Goodson wins at running back.
Yes,
and I don't know if we had a receiver that was.
Dude, that stable in 2015 was damn strong. Though.
You don't get to rock a stable versus it's a 1v1.
Sure you do. Sure you do. You're bringing everything to the table.
Okay, then rock the stable. Then Gavin Williams, LaShawn Williams, and Ivo.
And those guys don't touch who we were bringing other than Tyler Goodson alone.
I think Tyler Goodson wins this by himself. But
I think if you just go Tyler Goodson versus who's our number one back
versus Akram or LaShawn.
Or there was Jordan Canzeri.
Or Canzeri. It doesn't matter. Goodson's better than all of them 1v1. He's a more complete back, and everyone on earth will tell you that.
I agree. So I said almost by a landslide.
So
I think wide receiver Devon Smith.
When you're bringing a back that can do what LaShawn can do, a back that can do what Akram can do, and a back can do what Jordan can do, it was better than one single person. And what I'm saying is,
but that's not the scenario that we're going through right now. We're not saying who's the better team. We're saying who wins in 1v1 matchups. Because if you're going to argue team, then the best quality of a team is if they win football games. And then 2015 goes right up there at the top, right? In the regular season. So
whatever, nerd. Shut up and go.
Oh, okay. I make good points and then I get told to shut up.
I make a good point too, that all three running backs played, so it's judged as a group.
And I still will take I'll still take Ivo and Goodson over whatever first two you want to put out in our 2015 season.
Take the cat that's fumbling the ball half the time he touches it.
they put him back in and trusted him really, really well this last game. And he was really good. Actually, the last 2 games since the 2 fumbles he had. Yeah, I will. Receivers, we had who? Tavon in 2015 and Meerkat.
Meerkat were probably the top 2 targets.
So
then Jacob Hillier was out there a lot.
I'll be honest. I
Riley
think
McCarron,
all great guys. I don't know.
I think Tavon would be the best out of the 2015 and current 2021 group.
Yeah. This squad we have right now with Nico, Charlie, and then the 2 freshmen who have clear. It's hard to say.
Charlie Jones and Riley McCarron, as far as receiver, are like the same person in my brain.
Yeah.
I think Charlie Jones is obviously a really good returner. I think he beats anyone that we had.
Well, we had Desmond, so it's close. But CJ clearly wins the quarterback matchup, like Golden Goat.
Our tight ends.
We had
George, Hank, George, and Doozy.
Honestly, their production in college, this year's team probably it's probably really close. Maybe even might be this year's team because George wasn't George that he is today, right? Like we didn't use him a lot or as much as we should.
Dude, Hank had a hell of a good year that year.
He did have a great year. Laporta and Lachey are basically the feature of our passing game through 5 games, though. I mean,
oh yeah, for sure.
Offense might come out 6-5 or 7-5, 8-5, 2015. Defensively, if you look,
offense wins the most important. 2015 offense wins the more important position.
It does win. So yeah, you're right.
Quarterback and offensive line, the 2 most important things to an Iowa offense.
Yeah. On defense.
Honestly, I think this is just way too early to be even having this conversation right now. We're 5 games. We're 5 games into the season.
Well, who cares? You can have the conversation whenever you want.
I guess, but like, these guys still got a hell of a lot of ways to. We're not even halfway through the season yet. They're doing a great job, but after the season, we can have this conversation.
All right. I mean, you're right. They do still have to complete the most important part, and that's winning football.
Right. They haven't played a single division game yet.
You're right. And that's gonna tell us a lot about what this team can do. Because
clean the East the hell out, though.
Dude, the East, it's like we're getting some of the best teams from the East. Oh, I mean, the East is actually pretty deep this year.
The East is really deep this year.
Yeah.
We're picking them up and putting them down.
Indiana and Maryland.
Indiana has played 3 of like the top 6 teams.
And they still have to play Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan State.
5 games into the year. Yeah. They still have to play Ohio State, Michigan State.
Yeah.
Who scheduled them through the cheese grater?
I don't know, but currently this week, the lowest ranked team out of those 6 teams is 11th. And so as the current rankings sit, number 3, number 4, number 6, number 7, number 9, and number 11 are all on Indiana's schedule this year. Not good. Not good.
That's just tough, man. They have a solid team. Penix hasn't been playing well, but
no, he hasn't.
Find me an SEC schedule that matches that.
I don't think you will.
As it stands, obviously it changes because teams shift in and out of certain rankings. But as it stands in week 5, week 6, Indiana has the hardest schedule in the country right now. And that speaks a lot to the East is strong. Like Indiana is a decent team, and them in Maryland, maybe after Friday, I don't know, are kind of fighting for fifth best team in the East behind the 2 Michigans, Penn State and Ohio State. So the West, however, looks really bad. And that's how we got into this conversation. Iowa sits atop the West at 2-0 in the conference right now. The next best team is arguably Nebraska. To be honest, I think
I would agree with you. And I see the Nebraska. It's got to be Nebraska. I mean,
it's between Nebraska and Wisconsin. I really don't know, dude. Wisconsin versus like Purdue and Wisconsin versus Minnesota. those are going to be interesting games.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's Nebraska. They opened up as a 1-point dog to Michigan this week.
Really?
And Michigan's top 10 now.
Yeah. I'm not buying the hype on Michigan yet, but
I don't know if I am
Nebraska
either.
they competed really well against Oklahoma, and they just beat the shit out of a very below average Northwestern team, but they did what they were supposed to do.
It's to say that Nebraska is probably the second best team eye test right now in the West, and they've already got 2 conference losses. They're 1-2 in conference. Like this is why we're talking about this team in the way that we are. Like, oh, let's compare them to the 2015 team. Let's, because if Iowa loses, hey,
listen, man, the way that Iowa's played on defense through the first 5 weeks, you can compare that defense to anybody.
Yeah, you're right. They deserve to be compared.
That is deservingly so. And since 2017, we've got the most interceptions by 10. And we're saying that by far this team passes the eye test on the best defense we've fielded in a while. So I feel like it's not too early to have this conversation because they're playing that good.
We're 45 minutes in here, and obviously this is the Penn State week, right? So we're going to Penn State preview on Thursday, but the game on Saturday afternoon will turn into evening. It's obviously a massive game. Some are saying it's the biggest game since the number 1, number 2 Iowa-Michigan game in 1985. It's no doubt the most hyped up, important game since the game day in 2006 versus Ohio State going into the week. Obviously, some games have turned out to be like more grand, like when we beat Ohio State, when we beat top 5 Michigan. Those are awesome. But going into a week, preparing for a week, this is the Bear, who we shit on from game day, but the Bear put out an interesting stat that this is the first top 5 Big Ten matchup that isn't Ohio State, Michigan since 1962. So this is
false. That's Iowa played 1v2 Michigan in 1985. So the Bear sucks again.
I guess that's true. Why does that? I literally just mentioned that game. Well, that was the tweet that went out, or maybe I've got that wrong. The top. Fuck, I guess I'm wrong. Yeah,
did it include either Ohio State or Michigan? Maybe.
Maybe that was it. That was it. Yeah. Well, no, because Michigan was in that matchup. It was
right. The game didn't include either Ohio State.
Either Ohio State. Okay, that was probably it. So that's significant. Fox big noon kickoff is going to be there. If Iowa wins this game, the West should not be lost, right? There's no better team than Penn State in the West, right? And we fully understand as players, and we say it all the time, you still got to prepare. Wisconsin has good players. Minnesota could knock you off at any point. Purdue could come and knock you off. We lost to Purdue on senior day. Like, they can come in and teams can win any game. I like to think back to that when App State knocked off Michigan. Like it's teams don't, it's why those rankings are subjective and they truly don't mean anything, because if they did, then why play the game? But this game is one of the biggest in Iowa history. And I personally think that there's no doubt it'll be a close game. I don't think Penn State has the, and again, we're going to preview them, but I don't think Penn State has the ability to blow Iowa out with how they're built. With Iowa's defense, it's going to be hard for anybody to blow Iowa out, right?
I think it's going to look a lot like that 2019 game where the Iowa's wearing it'll be a defensive struggle, and I think Penn State established a run a little bit more in that game than Iowa did. But it's going to be a close game. It's going to come down. We'll talk about this.
We'll talk about it. What we do need to do before we get off tonight is.
Do we have to?
Yeah.
Why?
Because we made it a part of our show. And
bro, I'm 0-2 this week, and football just doesn't even make sense because the Rams just got beat by 20.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
The Rams got
got
beat
smoked.
by 20 at home, dude.
I don't understand. I don't understand. We're going to continue this segment, but don't follow us. Okay. Kluver, fade us. Just do the opposite of what we do. See how that works out.
Legitimately, you're making money by quite a bit. I think you're beating the book if you fade us this year.
Indiana did they score any points?
Zero.
So that did not go over 53.5 for Penn State, Indiana. Iowa did win by a lot, way more than 3. So that one hits for me. Notre Dame, Cincy gained some respect. I think they
went out. They're in the playoff.
They're in the playoff, and I don't know who's on their schedule, but
they've played the hardest parts of their schedule.
Yeah. So respect to them, but not really, because that makes me 1-2 on the week. Kevin and Drake both took Ole Miss plus 14.5, and they couldn't get it done.
Dude, they were down like 30 at one point.
Yep.
And Ole Miss looked like by far a top 3 team.
Couldn't convert on fourth downs.
Yeah, the fourth downs killed them. They had one on the 5-yard line going in, which if they score a touchdown, they
first drive
7-0, right? And then they had one at midfield, don't get it. Alabama scores a touchdown. Then there's one on their own like 28-yard line.
Yeah,
and this is after missing the 2 fourth and less than ones in a row, and they run like a half-ass shovel option and gets tackled for a 5-yard loss. That's an immediate touchdown. Oh, this is I guess gotta say my piece right here. If it's 4th and less than 1, and you don't call a quarterback sneak, as an offensive coordinator, you should be fired, because that play is damn near unstoppable. If you look it up, I would bet my mortgage that is more than 95% effective.
And with the fullback push, I mean, I don't want to say that I was the popularizer of the Iowa fullback push, but I'm going to take my credit until somebody else can find it. But
that shouldn't be hard.
I mean, with Monty, it's working damn well, boys.
What percentage of QB sneaks work?
Has to be less than 1 yard.
Yeah, I can't. This first site that pops up says that, in fact, on all 4th and 2 plays since the 99 season, so they've been keeping stats for just over 2 decades, quarterback sneaks are successful 89.7% of the time.
And that's on 4th and 2?
4th and 2 or less.
What was it?
No. 82.8% from 4th and 2 or less, 89% on 4th and 1 and less.
Okay, but when was that stat started?
In 99.
Well, the rule just changed in 2016. That's why I said this. Or maybe it was even 2017. It was either 2016 or 2017 that it was legal again
to assist the ball carrier,
quarterback from behind.
Well, then it's probably more now.
Which is where the percentage now skyrockets when you've got basically a choo-choo train effect with the front and the back, the center and the fullback.
When you got the fullback just trying to ram his face mask up the quarterback's asshole.
Yeah. So, I mean, and before that, it was already at 83 and 89%. So you're right, Kev. You probably should be fired if you don't run the quarterback sneak. Either way, Ole Miss did not do that. They did not cover. You guys both miss on that pick.
And at this point, it's just absolute facts that if Nick Saban is playing one of his former coaches, you take Nick Saban covering to the bank.
I don't know about when he's playing Kirby Smart later this year.
Also, what?
That's true, and that's a tough one because
Arkansas looked so good before this week, and Georgia made them look
not good,
like children. So
and y'all missed Josie some money because I said Georgia over Arkansas, and you guys are like, I don't know, man. Arkansas looks great.
Did they not? I mean,
I know football doesn't make sense, boys. Ole Miss looked great. Arkansas looked great. They were both top 10 teams, and they both got bent over and spanked by their daddies.
The Chargers will play tomorrow, but as Drake said, the Rams got smoked, so he's 0 for 2, and we'll see what the third bet ends up as tomorrow. Kevin, Wisconsin, Michigan did not go under 43.5. Because
it did not, because apparently Wisconsin is not good at football this year.
No. at least.
They scored 17, which is honestly more than I thought they would.
Mm-hmm.
But I also didn't think they'd give up 38 points.
Our guy Graham Mertz
got hurt.
Broken. He gonna get hurt. He's in the they had to bring in this Wolf kid. He didn't play any better. He threw some interceptions, at least one. And Michigan actually started to air it out. Before this game, they couldn't pass for shit, but they actually started to air it out. Michigan goes on to basically curb stomp them. And it definitely went over 43.5. And then Minnesota, Purdue under 47.5. And that one hit. What was the final score of that? Like 2013, 2017?
23-17, something like that.
So 1-2 for Kevin, 1-2 for me, potentially 1-2 for Drake. We'll see.
20-13, Minnesota.
Apologize if the energy of this episode is not what it was in the Drake and Tyler extra that we did yesterday. But I think the reason for that is this is a big week. And I can feel, just even like looking at Kevin throughout this episode and Drake, I can feel almost the sense of like how we would approach this week when we played. And there's a lot of emotional control and a lot of energy control when you go into a week like this, where your life, hey, guess what, guys? School doesn't matter. Hey, your degree, put it on hold for the week. Okay.
This is one of the weeks where KF would be like, you know, if you got something to do outside of class, put it off till next week. You got to get a haircut, do it next week. Spend all your time, all your free time. You should be preparing for this game.
Got a girlfriend?
Tell her you see you next week.
The right hand's your best friend this week, because she's got no part in these next 7 days.
Both you assholes better be handing out your Hawks by a million flags in Kinnick Stadium.
Kevin doesn't have one,
man. I'm fucking wearing that thing.
The one that is behind me on this screen, which is virtual for now, it's currently in my garage. I am going to be bringing it to Melrose, and I'm going to be giving it to somebody
wearing Washed Up Walk-Ons merch.
Wearing Washed Up Walk-Ons merchandise. So, and that is actually flag number 1, SKU unit 001. First one ever unpackaged. So someone's going to, what?
Of course you gave it to yourself.
Well, it was, they like left it open. They didn't even package it. It was like literally just laying in the box. It's a big week. There's a lot to preview. There's going to be
talk about our flag on the extra episode.
Oh, we sure did.
Use some national television.
And we can talk about it here too. You guys, there's a wait list.
We're trying to get more. We're doing our best.
We're doing.
But there was a ship. They got caught in a canal, and it caused over $10 billion in backup in the world's commerce. And we can't do anything about that, man.
It's been backed up, and our next run of flags has been on order for 4 weeks, and we're still waiting on them. And we're trying to get.
Do you guys remember? It would have been like maybe our sophomore season or something like that, but we were like late getting our cleats because Greg's like, yeah, the ship is like lost in Malaysia or something like that. We don't have our cleats.
It was the joke for the rest of our time there.
Yeah, exactly.
That was his excuse, and evidently, I guess it was probably true. But I mean,
you want to know the best Greg joke that I personally can come up with?
Give it
involves
to me.
Myself and having to spray paint my white cleats black so that I could have matching cleats in the blackout game.
Oh, well, I don't blame you, dude. I hated getting the alternate cleats because they weren't broken in and my feet would just I hate breaking in new cleats.
Mine are still very stiff and they're sitting down in my man cave right now. Yeah, Greg tokens, dude. Hey.
Greg tokens.
All about those Greg tokens. Enjoy this week, listeners.
Yeah, enjoy the hype of the week. You know, you're gonna have it's going to be tomorrow morning, Monday. You're listening to this and be like, it's game week, and we got a huge game coming to Iowa City, and it's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. I can't wait to wake up Saturday morning, drive to the tailgating spot around 6 a.m., start setting up, and just enjoying what a great day of college football we're going to have.
Kevin shows up at 7 a.m., and I'm already there in the lot with a latte. Like, what took you assholes so long?
Well, the lady and I
make me happier, buddy.
The lady and I will be there around 11 or noon.
There's still enough time to shotgun some.
I don't know about that, but we'll be there. And enjoy this week. These are the games that you hope on many years that your team was playing in, right? You wish your team was a top 10 team. There can only be 10 of them each week. And we've been one of them for every week of the year, except for the first one, or maybe the first two. So
if one of our listeners could overnight me a couple Xanax, that'd actually be pretty appreciated, because I'm sure my anxiety is going to be peaked Saturday morning.
Regardless, win or lose, I mean, this is like this. Penn State's one behind us. They're fourth in the country. They're an incredible team. They have incredible offensive weapons. We're going to preview all of that.
This is going to be a real measuring stick for this team. See,
yeah,
this is
we compete on the national, not only like for Big Ten championship, but could this team make a run at the playoff?
Yeah,
this is a hard team to keep under 28 points. Am I correct?
Yes.
The Penn State. Much more. No, I think their defense is absolutely the strength of their team.
Is it?
Yeah, I would say that too. They have weapons, but they're not scoring.
So it's just a battle of great defenses.
To put it this way, the over-under is at 43 right now. So,
and you're taking the under.
I don't know, but I'm not taking the over.
That's a good way to put it. Your number 3 Iowa Hawkeyes versus Penn State Saturday, 3:00.
Pick 'em game. Vegas says, I don't know who's going to win. They just said pick one.
Pick one.
I don't think there's anything left to talk about on this episode, because Tom Brady's playing the Patriots, and we've got another episode coming out this week.
Thank you guys so much for everything that you've done. Jason Mason, shout out again. You're the one who put that flag on TV and has our waitlist email. washupwalk-ons@gmail.com. If you want to be on the waitlist, that is already 200 emails long. Most of, I would say half of those are saying, hey, I want 2 or 3 or 4 flags. So
dude, we're out here selling a couple hundred flags here, boys.
Yeah.
Let's get Kinnick painted in these flags going forward.
Yeah, bring them to the game. Let's get them on TV every game. Let's get them on Fox big noon kickoff. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's do it, fam. We're a family. This is what we do. We bring you guys great content, and you guys love our merch.
You know, like at when they're doing the national anthem and they march out the American flag and all the service flags and the state of Iowa flag, can we get one of our flags in that procession too?
What's it take to get on the field, man? Hey, what's it take? Sneak one out there. Maybe I'll take one for the team. I'll rush one out there, just Hawks by a million, and I'll streak with the flag. Get kicked out, but hey, great pub. Great pub. In fact, now that I think of it, is there any U of I students that are willing to streak with our Hawks by a million flag?
No. We've got money. No.
We'll give you an NIL. We'll give you an
legal officer is shutting down this segment of the podcast.
We will give you an NIL deal.
Any listener out there sick enough, you know my Instagram.
All right, 254. Again, the emotions were managed here. We're very cautious. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but this team obviously has a lot of potential, and they've played really great, and they took a lot of steps. So exciting to be able to just cover them each week, break them down with the boys, and we'll hit you again Thursday with our preview episode. Talk to you then. Peace.